Hi, I'm Anna Runkle, also known as the Crappy Childhood Fairy. And today I'm really excited because I get to answer a reader question, and I love giving advice. So someone wrote in to me and said, "Dear Crappy Childhood Fairy, my therapist says I apologize too much, and I blame myself too much. Is he wrong?" I love this question because for those of us who grew up with a crappy childhood, this is like a problem that comes up over and over and over again where it's like, is it my fault? Is it their fault? Am I totally about to mess things up right here if I don't apologize? Or am I an idiot if I don't run away from the situation? So if your therapist says that you're apologizing or blaming yourself too much, I don't know. I do know it's possible to do that. I've done it. I've seen it done. I've had it done to me, and I know that when it is done to me, it feels icky. So let's take apologies and blame as two separate things. Okay, so apologies. How much is the right amount to apologize? When should we do it? Well, we should do it the moment we realize we've hurt someone. It could be a small thing, like you bump into somebody on the sidewalk, or you take their plate away before they were done eating. You say, "Oh, I'm sorry." Or it could be a bigger thing like, "I'm sorry I didn't call you back," or "I'm sorry, I just don't think we should see each other anymore." We can say sorry that someone is hurting even when it wasn't us who hurt them. And when we've really, really hurt somebody, this is a time when we would want to take big self-reflection to think about how did we hurt somebody, how would they feel about it, and prepare to really directly talk to them about it. Okay, but what's happening when we're apologizing all over the place and just saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry"? Now, granted, when in doubt, should I apologize? Should I not apologize? Like in the moment, just apologize. Don't worry about it so much. Just don't do it a million times. When we're over apologizing, as good as our intentions might be, it's really kind of selfish actually. What we're doing is trying to make ourselves feel better. And what it's doing to the other person is making them uncomfortable. I mean, really think about how you feel when someone does it. It's just like a big emotional burden on somebody. It doesn't like a true apology lightens the load on somebody and tells you, "I get it. I get the way I hurt you." But like dumping apologies on someone, even though the intentions are good, it's kind of a form of manipulation. If you think about when people have over apologized to you, it's awkward, it feels uncomfortable. It's kind of like somebody's making it all about them and they're not really listening. It's kind of the same thing with blame too. I remember when my dad knelt down on the floor when I was 7 years old and told me that he and my mom were getting divorced. And the first thing he said, he was like, "Now I just want you to know, this is not your fault, all right? This does not have to do with you." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." But there were a lot of times in my life where I actually did, in painful situations, I wanted to find a way to believe it was my fault. And many times I would try to make something right, but nothing, just to no avail. I had no influence on things getting better. And you know what? That's one of the telltale signs that something is not your fault, is that no matter what you do, you can't really improve the situation. That's one of the signs of how you know it's not really your fault. But I had this really great period of my life where I was doing some really major inner house cleaning, and for the first time really looking at some of the ways that I had hurt people in my life, and it felt so good. It felt so good taking responsibility and apologizing to people. And I maybe in some, I'd spent years not dealing with that, but then I kind of maybe went in the other direction and tried to take the blame for more things than were really my fault. And you know why? Because if it's my fault, if I broke it, I can fix it. And it's sad, there were broken relationships around my life, and if it was my fault, then maybe I could heal the relationship. If I couldn't heal the relationship, maybe it wasn't mine to heal, So I just kind of saw that my taking responsibility was more of an effort to control the situation. And sometimes I just had to let things go. And sometimes letting things go, they come back to you, like the poster on this wall in the 70s. That whole thing, that poster. If you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, it's yours. If it doesn't, it never was. I'm totally sure that was some sort of rationale for my friends' parents to cheat on their spouses. I don't know. So, Miss Reader who sent that question to me, I am totally with you about how confusing it gets figuring out what's my fault and what's somebody else's fault and when I'm supposed to apologize. So here's a guideline. When in doubt, apologize. If you find yourself apologizing again, begin to wonder if your motives are a little suspect. If you're apologizing 10 times for the same thing, you're being a pain. And remember, just because some of us are really generous about taking the blame for things, That doesn't mean like that's the only direction that we're making a mistake in. It's really common to like simultaneously take too much blame over here and not enough blame over here. And it's kind of the same mechanism where we're not perceiving things accurately, which is totally the wreckage of growing up in a crappy childhood house. What's my fault? What's not my fault? Everybody's saying this. I don't know. This is what maturity is, right? Be able to like stop in the middle of a situation that feels fraught and kind of sense out what's happening and how other people are affected, and say something helpful, say something real, say something that reflects that we get it, that we are actually here in reality and not just being defensive or, you know, fantasizing that we're in control of every situation. I used to have a lot of struggles in this area, and one thing that really helped me on my transition to being somebody who was a lot more just like comfortable with perceiving reality was when I started writing down my fears and resentments regularly. This is the stuff that was going in my mind in situations, and so in every situation I was in, I was like, half of my mind was taking in what was actually happening, and half of my mind was really preoccupied with memories and assumptions and kind of triggers. So I started to write the fear and resentment down and just keep like having that removed and being able to perceive clearly what was going on. And it's made a huge difference in my relationships and my ability to get ahead in life. I was able to stop reacting and start taking the small actions step by step to solve the problems that I was creating myself. And that is what it looks like to recover from childhood PTSD.